Okay, we're on. Okay, guests, you are welcome to unmute and turn your video on.
Okay.
Phew. Thank you so much, everyone, for waiting for this. We are so happy to have you. We appreciate your patience. Okay, so let's get started. Are you guys hearing the audio replay again?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so thank you so much for joining our panel today. I love you, Japanese bathhouses, hot springs, and how to soak up the benefits at home. My name is
Oh, it's great.
thereby improving bilateral relations. To carry out its mission, CGP supports an array of institutions and individuals, including Oh, apparently I'm frozen.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay.
Okay, I'm getting feedback that I'm frozen. Am I back now? Yes? Okay. I'm so sorry. Thank you, everyone, for your patience with this. We've got some technical difficulties, but it wouldn't be a live event without some, so thank you. My name is Genevieve Savage. I am with the Japan Foundation Center for Global Partnership, New York. CGP was established in 1991 and is dedicated to strengthening the global US-Japan partnership by enhancing dialogue and interchange between Japanese and US citizens on a wide range of issues, thereby improving bilateral relations. To carry out its mission, CGP supports an array of institutions and individuals, including nonprofit organizations, universities, policymakers, scholars, and educators through grant programs and self-initiated projects such as this one. Usually, our events are in person, but since this event is online, we are encouraging dialogue in the chat box on the right side of the video, which I am so thankful everyone has found and is chiming in. It was really encouraging to see that as I was struggling to get this event up and running with the hiccup at the beginning. So I think everyone knows how to use it. But in order to comment, you do need to have a YouTube account. So just wanted to make that note. And also to please keep the comments kind. My colleague Mariko will be moderating. She also designed our poster for the event. Some of you have already done this, but please let us know where you're watching from and what your country's bath culture is like. We are really curious to know. And do you take a bath? Do you take baths? You can also use the chat box to let us know if you have any questions, and we'll try to hang on to those for the Q&A at the end of our two presentations that will be about 30 minutes each. So again, I'm so excited that you are here with us. We have received over 750 RSVPs, which wow. I could never have expected that. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and for spreading the word. We're so happy to share this with you today. I wanted to say that we have RSVPs from at least 36 states in the US and 17 countries besides the US and Japan. And those include Canada, England, Scotland, Spain, France, Switzerland, Portugal, Germany, Netherlands, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, Puerto Rico, Australia, Cuba, Brazil, and Argentina. So that was just such a fun surprise for me to see your registrations coming in. This is truly, truly an international exchange event. So I appreciate everyone joining us, and I'm happy to connect with you beyond borders. Just a quick note that we will ask you to fill out a questionnaire at the end of the event, so keep your eyes out for that. And let's get started. I'm just oozing with excitement here to introduce our incredibly knowledgeable experts on bathhouses and hot springs. Our first guest is Stéphanie Crohin. Born in the south of France and growing up with a keen interest in Japanese literature, Stéphanie came to Japan in 2008, and she has been established in Japan since 2012. Now an author, photographer, lecturer, and journalist as a Cento specialist, she was the first official Sento Ambassador nominated by the Japan Association of Sento Culture and is deeply engaged in showing the charms of each Sento. She has published 2 books, and her upcoming book will be published in France. So, Stéphanie. And next we will have Dr. Hayasaka, who's down here. And he is a physician, hot spring and bath medical researcher, and professor at Tokyo City University. As a doctor of medicine, he has been conducting expansive medical research on bathing in hot springs for over 20 years. He makes regular appearances on television to report on the latest research about bathing methods. His most recent book is called The Best Bathing Method Invented by the Doctor Who Investigated Over 30,000 People for 20 years. So, Dr. Hayasaka, thank you for joining us.
Nice to meet you, everyone.
I have links to their Instagram and their website in the YouTube description below, so please take a look at those. I would lastly like to make a small shout out to our guests for volunteering to give their lectures in English. Typically, they give their lectures in Japanese. So I'd like to acknowledge the amount of work they put into creating this English version just for us. So it makes this event extra special. We appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get started. Guests, can you please mute and turn off your video? And audience, you may see a black screen as I load up the video. So please hold.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for being here today. It's very sad I can't meet you in real life, but I will do my best to talk about the amazing culture of the Cento, also known as Japanese bathhouses. To start off, I would like to give you a few words to introduce myself. So, originally born in the south of France, I first moved to Japan in 2008 as an exchange student. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for being here today. It's very sad I can't meet you in real life, but I will do my best to talk about the amazing culture of the Cento, also known as Japan. To introduce myself. So, originally born in the south of France, also known as Japan. To introduce myself. So, originally born in the south of France, thank everyone for being here today. It's very sad I can't meet you in real life, but I will do my best to talk about the amazing culture of the Cento, also known as Japanese bathhouses. To start off, I would like to give you also known as Japan myself. So, originally born in the south of France, I first moved to Japan to introduce myself. So, originally born in the south of France, thank everyone for being here today. It's very sad I can't meet you in real life, but I will do my best to talk about the amazing culture of the Cento, also known as Japanese bathhouses. To start off, I would like to give also known as Japan myself. So, originally born in the south of France, I first moved to Japan to introduce myself. So, originally born in the south of France, thank everyone for being here today. It's very sad I can't meet you in real life, but I will do my best to talk about the amazing culture of the Cento, also known as Japanese bathhouses. To start off, I would like to give also known as Japan myself. So, originally born in the south of France, I Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for being here today. It's very sad I can't meet you in real life, but I will do my best to talk about the amazing culture of the Cento, also known as Japanese bathhouses. To start off, I would like to give you a few words to introduce myself. So, originally born in the south of France, I first moved to Japan in 2008 as an exchange student in Rikkyo University based in Tokyo. I mainly studied Japanese literature and sociology. And after spending a year in Japan, I went back to France to do my master degrees, and I was mainly in the research about Tanizaki Junichiro and authors that I particularly like. After having the opportunity to work in East Africa, namely the Republic of Djibouti, for 2 years, I moved to Japan again in 2012 after a Japanese company offered me a job. So I would like to introduce my story with Cento. The first time I experienced Cento was during my exchange in 2008. At the time, I couldn't speak Japanese fluently. However, I went with a friend and the owner turned out to be very friendly and welcoming. You can see his face on my slide. So it was a Cento at 10 minutes walk from the university, and it's still there, hopefully. Its name is Myohoyu. So at first I was a bit shy to be naked in front of everyone, but after a couple of minutes I realized nobody cares, and it felt amazingly comfortable. I like it so much that I went back week after week during my stay. When I later returned to Japan in 2012, I started working for a Japanese company, which turned out to be very hard. I was the only one foreigner in the company, and even if I was fluent in the languages, yet the pressure of the first week made me wonder if I would be able to stay. You know, the business manners, also different environment. And at that moment, I remembered my previous experience at the Cento, and after deciding to try it again, I instantly felt that was my place. Soon after, I realized that, surely by a stroke of luck, I had just moved next to the very first Cento I ever visited, and the first things I did was to pay a visit to the owner, who, to my surprise, hadn't forgot about me even after all these years. It made me so happy. So I ended up befriending the owner as well as his family, and through them I got the chance to learn a lot about Cento culture and history, and the Cento related work and all the back of the Cento you cannot experience when you just go in the bathroom, you know. So I had now a daily routine where I would like to go to work and follow it up with a visit to the Cento, spending something like an hour in the bath and another 2 hours at the front desk chatting or having a drink with the owner and the other Cento goers. Usually in the Cento you have the front desk, and in the same area you have a resting space. You can have some sofa and a television and magazines and various drinks, so you can stay there as you want after the bath time. So little by little it had become my second home. As I quickly got more and more interested in the Cento world, I started visiting different locations and noticed that each and every one of them was unique in its own way. Each Cento told a different story, whether it was the story of the place or the family owning it. And the more my passion for Cento grew, the sadder I felt knowing that this practice was on the decline. I wondered, how could such a precious aspect of Japan be forgotten? From then on, whenever I visited a Cento, I decided to post about it on social media so I could introduce it to other people. And since I also wanted to reach readers outside of Japan, I shared the information in French, English, and Japanese. And after visiting hundreds of Cento, I kept falling in love with them again and again. In 2014, I even became a member of the bathhouse committee for the city of Tokyo. So the main purpose for this is to decide the price of the Cento of Tokyo. There is a unique price for all the Cento in Tokyo. So you have the people from the city office of Tokyo and the people from the association of Cento. And they discuss about the price they would like to have and the reality of the Cento. And we are 5 people to hear them and decide a good balance, keeping the price or up or down, So we do that once a year, and I'm doing it now for 6 years. And the following year, in 2015, I was elected the first ever Sento Ambassador. At that time, I was working in marketing and PR for a cosmetics company. Meanwhile, after work and on the weekends, I was a Cento journalist. So you can find some of my work at the time, and even now I was and still doing Cento events for grown-up, for children, for students and for foreigners, but also for Japanese people inside Cento, outside Cento. I also am writing many articles about Cento and many television and media, radio. So all I'm doing is just for spread my Cento love, and yeah, I will let you know the charms of the Cento. I found a deeper meaning when working on Cento related contents than working in my company. So I eventually quit in 2016 to focus on introducing Cento and the organization of the event. In 2017, I decided to compile my feelings about Cento by publishing my first book titled Cento wa Chisana Bijutsukan. I would translate by Cento a Small Museum, in which I introduce 18 different bathhouses across Japan. So I'm also a Cento photographer. I have the enormous chance to be authorized to take picture in the Cento. Usually you don't have the right, it's a private place. So I'm really happy to share this wonderful image with everybody, and I hope that when you see the picture of Cento, you just want to go there. And the following year, I published my second book in Japanese. It's more about guides of 50 Cento in Tokyo. And the purpose of this one was having some recommendation of Cento for beginners. So even if you never went in the Cento, you can check and go, and easy access. It's also with my point of view of women. So when I'm in a Cento, I will do some yoga stuff for these kinds of recommendation for health and beauty routine. In fact, this year I will publish my first book in French about Cento. So I'm very happy because I don't think there is some book about Cento in Europe. So it will be the first one. So I explain all the culture and the history, and you have guides, parts, and many pictures. So hopefully once a day I could do it in English. So then I would like to explain what is a Cento. So a Cento is a public bathhouse, most often run by a family with the customs passed down through generations. The word Cento first appeared in 1401. It is made up of two kanji. The first one, sen, which referred to the money unit, and the second kanji, to, you can also read yu, simply means hot water. So essentially, you had to pay 1 sen to bathe. So it was during Sengoku era. The price to enter a bathhouse in Tokyo then was around 200 yen, so about a bit more than $1, whereas today it costs 470. It's approximately $4. As the price of a visit to the Cento, it is agreed upon by prefecture. For example, in Tokyo, as I said, you will pay 417, in Kyoto 413, and Niigata 420, so, for example. Cento flourished during the Edo period, 1603 to 1868. Edo people were apparently very careful regarding their body cleanliness and were also rather coquettish. You may have heard about the term furoshiki, or traditional Japanese wrapping cloths, which are used to wrap up gifts or bento boxes, for example. Also, at that time, people used it to bring clean clothes and baths belonging inside. And now it's usual for the third or fourth generation of a family to run the bathhouse. Once I even visited a 200 years old Cento, and it was run by the 10th generation of descendants. It's amazing. I really love to take this kind of picture because you can see the person that running the Cento. It's the life of those people. Yeah, I like the smiles, and I think it's beautiful. And I would like to say a word regarding the water temperature. So historically, Tokyo has had the reputation to keep a high bath temperature. The reason being that during the Edo era, many people would visit the Cento on a daily basis. Since there was no water filtration system, the bather had to add cold water to the hot bath to make it more bearable. In return, the water would overflow, filtering out some of it in the process. Another possible explanation is that a very hot bath prevented customers from staying in the bath too long so that others could enjoy it too. So as I said, at that time, I thought people were going a lot to Cento, like I think everybody was going. So if you stay too long, there is no space for everybody. So these days, the average temperature is kept around 42 degrees. It's around 107.6 Fahrenheit. At first, some may need a moment to get accustomed, but after soaking for a bit, it becomes quite pleasant. A few Cento use extremely hot water at around 46 degrees, like in the Edo period, but it's not common. And on the other hand, many other locations use lukewarm and cold water as well. You can find many different temperature Cento, so I'm sure you will find the one you like. Next, I would like to explain a question I've been often asked. It's the difference between Cento and onsen. Onsen refers to thermal or mineral water, essentially a hot spring, whether it's volcanic or geothermal origin. Whereas Cento refers to a public bathhouse. Since most of the Cento drew water from deep ground below, in that sense, some Cento can qualify as onsen too. It is said that almost everywhere in Japan, an onsen can be found. If you visit a Cento in a popular hot spring resort such as Oita or Kagoshima in Kyushu, all the bathhouses will be onsen. However, Cento owners won't mix pure mineral water with tap water as to maintain the benefit to people's health and skin. You can find a very retro bathhouse. It's wonderful, and the water is naturally this Coca-Cola color, and it was very nice, very soft for the skin. And in Tokyo also you can find around 45 of the onsen Cento, and many bathhouses with outdoor bathtub. Onsen water is not necessarily hot. In that case, it is called reisen or cold mineral spring. Next, I would like to introduce different types of Cento. There are several types of Cento to be found, which I often sort into three unofficial categories. The first one is the old-fashioned Cento, a retro bathhouse that instantly brings about sweet and nostalgic feelings. The Cento often seem to be stuck in time in a good way. You may often chance upon a beautiful mural depicting Mount Fuji or similar local views selected by the owner of previous generation. Old-fashioned Cento are typically decorated with a multitude of artifacts, such as antique hair dryer, old posters, etc. It's like going to a museum, it's sort of. I would personally like for the Cento to be preserved forever as jewel of Japanese architecture. And then the modernized Cento, So they were generally renovated in the 80s or 90s, and thus tend to display a theme reminiscent of those decades, such as European landscaping or art that would have been extremely trendy then. There you may find fancy or over-the-top design no one would expect to find in a Japanese bathhouse. And the third category, so finally, the designer's Sento. The Cento exhibit in an all-around contemporary design or theme that are commonly refurbished by an architect. While some may be European-inspired, others appear classy, elegant even, and characterize a modern Japanese aesthetic. The charms of Cento. Although most Japanese homes have now fully occupied bathrooms, with a bath and shower, a visit to a Cento is appealing in its own way. Since there are many aspects to Cento that keep me wanting to explore, I like to group those into three main categories. The first one is health and beauty, and secondly, community, and then art and architecture. So first, health and beauty. Besides offering a place to wash the body, the Cento is a place to feel rejuvenated for both the body and the mind. I will let Ayasaka-sensei explain in detail how it can be benefit for your health and beauty. Although, in my personal experience, I must admit that since embarking on this Cento journey, I have been less prone to catching colds, and if I do, I tend to make a swift recovery. Keeping in mind the restoration of the body, adding a series of stretches in the bath or afterwards might help making the body more flexible and even improve the quality of sleep. As for the cleansing of mind, on top of the deep relaxation being at the Cento, is a moment to focus and care of your body without any outside distraction. No social media, no work, no text messages. It's like being in your own bubble. The calming sounds of water flowing, tiles resonating, bubbles flying, voices muted by the steam, all this make for an ideal meditative state. On a bad working day or after an argument with my husband or any other negative feelings, a trip to the Cento would help lift this heavy through off my shoulders, make me feel lighter. For 4 years now, I also have been working at the front desk of the Cento twice a week, where I have observed these positive effects on other bathgoers. So being the person welcoming customers, I can see firsthand how their complexion appears lighter, their skin brighter, and of course they greet me with a sincere smile upon leaving, like every time. On top of that, this traditional form of communal bathing has, in my opinion, a positive impact on the development of a healthy body image. Inside the Cento, most people keep a benevolent gaze upon others. There is no judgment, nor body comparison, and most of all, you will be among a diversity of real bodies. It feels like such a breath of fresh air compared to the constant display of unrealistic bodies that can be seen in the media or in social media. So you can see some picture I took in the ladies' bathroom. I was bathing with the people and explained my project, and they were totally okay to be in the picture. Very good memories with each of them. Cento may not only help put aside one's insecurities, it may help accepting one's appearance, little by little. I believe this need for reassurance is very important regardless the people's age. For example, a young woman visiting the Cento will be able to feel more comfortable in her own body as she realizes that the other women around her all have their own imperfections. And that's okay. Despite their unique bodies, They all belong. In the bath, there is no more place for shame. This young woman should feel accepted, and the more she repeats the experience, the faster she should be able to come to terms with her body image. For me, the Cento is a kind reminder that we all need to let go of the pressures that come with the perfection of the social media world. In brief, this comforting feeling not only comes from the bath, but from the people as well. Cento is an amazing community where you feel at home. So let's talk about community. I believe the Cento is one of the best places here in Japan to meet the locals and share some valuable time with them. There are many ways to enjoy a visit at the Cento. Whether you're looking for human connection, most of my personal own professional network around Japan is a result of me simply interacting with other bathgoers. Or maybe you would rather silently connect with the people surrounding you by enjoying a bit of space and quiet in the bath. In practice, especially for first goers, I will recommend a simple konnichiwa upon entering the room. It will attract friendly smiles and people will kindly help you if you seem lost. When visiting a new city in Japan, I always take advantage of the community aspect of a Cento by asking regular customers or owners for some advices regarding interesting place and like what to see around the place, what things to do, favorite restaurants in the area. There is no better guidebook or website than the information you can hear in the bath. The role of a Cento is crucial for neighborhood. Among the daily bathers, many are living alone, others are elderly, but the customers will be eager to help a person in need of assistance. If a regular customer didn't show up one day, the rest would check in to make sure they're all right. A friend of mine, a fourth-generation Cento owner, will call his older or fragile customers during the hot summer days. He will also try his best to help people in need that may not know where to ask for help, so he can provide them with a solution. The role of Cento goes beyond basic bathing services, and I feel that this crucial function is often underestimated. I would like to use the expression hadaka no tsukiai in Japanese. It literally means naked socialization, but translates as completely honest relationship. It reflects on the simple fact of sharing time with one another while naked. It means come as you are. As long as you show respect to others, especially the elderly, in here there is no social distinction, no poor, no rich, no boss versus employee. In the bath, we all share the same value. For the last part of my talk about the charms of Cento, let me introduce another treasure of Cento, the art. Indeed, the Cento is a place to bathe, relax, share, and also enjoy art. From the architecture of the building, through the potential garden, to the tiny tiles leading into the bath, the Cento has a multitude of design and art aspects. You can find traditional Miyazukuri building, mainly in Kanto area, surrounding Tokyo. Miyazukuri are constructions built in the same way that temples and shrines are, with an old wood structure with high ceiling, approximately 8 meters, that lets the steam rise. The similarity between these different types of construction is related to a belief that grew after the Great Kanto earthquake in the 1920s. Temples and shrines being a symbol of peace and serenity, people thought that having the same symbolic construction would relieve the hearts of the visitor. Some of these buildings are even registered as cultural property of Japan. It's called bunkazai in Japanese. And also, the interior of a Sento often hides wonderful pieces of art, such as paintings, tile art, or mosaic. As expected, the representation of Mount Fuji is very popular among the traditional Sento, also called Enkie. This amazing rendition that only 3 painters in Japan continue to depict. They are respectively Kyoto Maruyama-san, 85 years old, Mr. Morio Nakajima-san, 75 years old, and Mrs. Mizuki Tanaka-san, 37 years old. The completion of a full mural typically takes a day, which needs to be scheduled on a closed day. Due to the humidity in the Sento, a mural has to be painted again every 1 to 3 years. Other than Mount Fuji, you can enjoy various sceneries, in particular depictions of the area. For instance, inside Okagoshima Sento, at the extreme south of Kyushu, you won't find Mount Fuji but Sakurajima, the region's notorious volcano. In Niigata, I have seen beautiful mosaics inspired by the traditional dance of Sado Islands. Exploring Sento across Japan is also a way to spice up any trip by discovering new places. In other Sento, you may find replicas of famous paintings from artists, typically covering the tiles. Somewhere else, you may appreciate sceneries from overseas. Each Sento interior has a different story to tell. You will always be surprised. So I would like to close my talk by talking a bit about the Sento nowadays. Sento numbers have been critically decreasing since the end of the 60s. With each Sento disappearing, a national treasure is lost. It's the end of a story. The end of years of daily relationships. The primary reason for this decline is that the Sento's hygiene purpose became obsolete since most modern homes have fully functional bathrooms. The good news is Sento now has a new lifestyle function. Over the past few years, thanks to various events and media intervention on the Sento topic, people have rediscovered the existence of public bathhouses, and I often meet newcomers that decided to give the bath community a try. On top of that, I see more and more family enjoying Sento together, and I truly think that it plays a role in having good manners and education, and not just for children, but adults as well. There is such a thing as a Sento etiquette that isn't meant to be strict, but to remind people of some cultural common sense and the art of compromise among bathers. I personally think that it is a good way to spend quality time together without any distraction. More recently, last 4 or 5 years, young people are considering working at the Sento and sometimes even becoming a Sento owner to keep the history of bathhouses alive. And thanks to them and all the people supporting the Sento, the future looks brighter. Sento culture is decreasing, but certainly not dying. And I really hope that all of you will get to try it out one day and bath in one of them. Sento is a wonderful part of the cultural heritage in Japan, which deserves to be known worldwide. And I will continue to do my best to share the beauty of every Sento. So if you have some interest to see more, almost every day I introduce Sento in Instagram. So thank you very much for your attention, and don't hesitate if you have more questions. Thank you.
Okay, guests, please unmute and put your video on. Okay. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Wow, I learned so much from your talk.
Thank you.
And it feels a little bit torturous to see all the picture of Cento and not be able to go visit.
Soon, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you for sharing all your photos with us.
Thank you, and thanks to everybody for all the nice comments. I was happy to read it.
Me too. So we have a question for you that I think you saw at the tail end of the video. We'd like to know if you have ever visited a Cento. So please let us know, and if you remember where and the name of it, we'd like to know. Okay, so now let's watch Dr. Hayasaka's presentation. So yeah, let's get started. Guests, please mute and turn off your video.
Hello everyone, my name is Shinya Hayasaka. Thank you for giving me opportunity to speak at this event. Today I'd like to give a lecture on bathing Japanese hot spring and in the Japanese homes. I will also demonstrate how to practice this bathing habit at home, and maybe you will be inspired to try tonight. First, let me introduce myself. 20 years of working as a general physician made me realize the importance of habitual bathing and how it affected our health. There was rarely any research done on habitual bathing at that time. I investigated over 30,000 Japanese people for 20 years on how they bathed and how bathing related to their health. I currently research at Tokyo City University. From my research, I have found out that habitual bathing has various positive effects on our health. I also found the most effective and correct bathing method. Based on my result, I started appearing on TV more often to explain the correct bathing method for Japanese viewers. I also published some books. My recent books published by Daiwa Shobo is called The Best Bathing Method, invented by a doctor who investigated over 30,000 people for 20 years. I will start off the lecture by going over the history of hot springs, known as onsen, and also history of bathing. Because Japan lies along a volcanic zone, it has many onsen. The country itself and all the prefectures have onsen. There are about 27,000 onsen sources in Japan and about 1,100 in the US. Japanese people have had a close relationship with onsen for a long time, and here is why. The oldest and first history books to describe onsen in Japanese history was called Kojiki, written in 712 AD. The book mentions the Dogo Onsen. Nihon Shoki was another history book written 1,300 years ago that mentioned the Emperor of Japan in 639 AD based in Arima Onsen. Although there is no record, traces of hot springs used from 6,000 years ago were discovered in Nagano Prefecture. There is also myth that Dogo Onsen was discovered by a heron, and another animal such as a crane, deer, and bear discovered another onsen. This is a photo of Arima Onsen, one of the oldest Japan that has 1,000 years of history. Arima Onsen is close to Kobe port and it's popular for tourists. One of the characteristics for onsen is hot water being red due to the level of iron. The salt component is the water is very rich and makes the body warm up. Here is a photo of Dogo Onsen, located in Ehime Prefecture. This is also one of the oldest onsen in Japan. And there is still traditional buildings surrounding the onsen, and tourists can enter inside after paying the entrance fee. The history of onsen are deeply connected with the samurai warriors. 16th century Japan was said to be in a war state that remained unstable, and when many warriors fought each other for unity. Onsen were primarily used by injured warriors to heal their wounds from battles, and since many were injured, they controlled their own onsen. This is a picture of Shingen Takeda, one of the most famous military commander in Japan. The mainly ruled the Yamanashi Prefecture, also known as the center of Japan. He used Mastomi Onsen to heal his wound and kept this onsen hidden from other warriors. This onsen contains salt and radium, which has the effect of relieving pain. This is why onsen that contain salt and radium were heavily used by injured samurai warriors. This last picture is Ieyasu Tokugawa, another famous military commander who ruled the whole country and built Edo, known today as Tokyo. Atami Onsen, located on the west side of Tokyo, was a favorite onsen. There is a saying that the general of the Tokugawa family who ruled Edo carried hot spring water all the way to Edo for medical treatment. To this day, many tourists visit Atami Onsen, and there is even footbath named Ieyasu in front of Atami Station. This is a photo of a footbath. These were ways in which onsen share deep connection with samurai warriors. Next, I will explain the use of hot spring in Japan. Japanese people love hot springs, and there are about 3,000 hot spring districts around Japan. There is even one in the middle of the city, close to Haneda Airport in Tokyo. Japanese people go to hot spring very often, and data show the number of total stay at the hot spring resort per year is about 120 million. This number is almost the same number as the total population of Japan. In other words, Japanese people go to hot springs at least once a year. Hot springs that do not accompany lodging is not counted in this number, but you can still see how much the Japanese love hot springs. According to my research, in winter, 33.7% go to onsen more than once a month. Also, the number one vacation spot for Japanese people has a hot springs resort, and this was 49.8%. As you can see, onsen play a huge role in the life of the Japanese. This is Hasunuma Onsen in Kamata near the Haneda Airport. The hot water is brown because it contains a plant ingredient. This is a very beautiful hot spring facility. Since this is open to the public, you only have to pay about $4. I sometimes go here too. Now, I'll talk about the history of bathing in Japanese household. As I mentioned before, hot springs exist in Japan for many years, and back when there were no water heater, it was a daunting task to boil large amount of water to fill up the bathtub. Water is very heavy and boiling. The water requires large amount of fuel. It also takes a lot of time and money. However, It was very easy to fill bathtubs with hot water at a hot springs district, since hot water was easily accessible. During 17th century in Edo period, going on a hot spring trip was considered one of the best leisure activities for the public, and soon after public baths started to appear in the city. When the public baths were first built in Edo period, the bathtub contained only small amount of hot water, about the ankle height, and it was more like a steam bath. Over time, the public baths filled their tubs with more hot water. Only the wealthy had bathtubs, and those who did not use public baths. After World War II, Japanese households began having bathroom with bathtub. As of 2008, 95.5% of all households say they had bathroom, while some Japanese bathrooms may only have bathtub. There are no Japanese bathroom with only shower. This is a standard Japanese bathroom in house, where the bathtub is separate from the toilet. I will explain later in detail on how Japanese people use their bathtub. In Japan, bathtub is called ofuro. Bathing does not necessarily mean just taking a shower. It also refers to soaking ourselves in the bathtub. There are about 70 or 80% of Japanese people who bath in bathtub. The meaning of bathing seems to be different in Japan than in Western countries. Bathing in bathtub common, especially in homes with small children. About 19% say that use a bathtub to bath every day. Not only love hot springs, but over. As far as I know, Japan is the only country where bathing is considered a part of their lifestyle. From the medical perspective, here are the benefits of ofuro. Besides the fact that it keeps our body clean, it also relieves pain, helps treat skin condition, increase flexibility, reduce anxiety, and help us with a better sleeping habit. These benefits have been shown through many medical studies. This is what we know about ofuro based on recent medical research. The results from our 2014 studies say people experienced more happiness when they bathed every day. Similarly, people who bathed every day had a high sense of subjective health, which has related to better sleeping habit. In 2018, we also found that bathing helps reduce the risk of physical disability for seniors and reduce the need for care by 13%. We are able to get a result from tracking nearly 14,000 seniors over 3 years. A recent study that investigated about 13,000 Japanese for 20 years found out people who take a bath every day had 30% lower risk of heart attack or stroke than those who did not. These results mean bathing is important as another lifestyle like appropriate exercise, nutrition, sleep, and smoking cessation. As many countries do not yet have a bathing habit, Japan is unique in conducting these studies. So why does ofuro have good medical effect? I'll discuss the thermal effect, buoyancy, hydrostatic pressure, cleaning effect of cleaning every corner of the body, and psychological effect of feeling liberated by being alone and naked. The first three effects are obtained only by ofuro bath and not by shower. First, let me discuss the thermal effect. This is the most important role of bathing because when the body warms up from the hot water, the blood vessels dilate, and when this happens, it increases the blood flow. When your body turns red after your bath, it is because your blood vessels are dilated. When there is an increase in blood flow, essential cell nutrition and oxygen are more easily supplied throughout the whole body, and unnecessary wasted product and carbon dioxide are more easily emitted. The increase in blood flow also cures feeling of fatigue after your bath. So please keep in mind temperature of water is very important because this heavily affects the automatic nerves, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic nerves activate when you are excited and nervous. This leads to rise in blood pressure and the heart to pound. Parasympathetic nerve, on the other hand, activated to help us relax. When these nerves become active, tension is released. Many Japanese studies show that parasympathetic nerves work stronger in warm water, that is above body temperature and below 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees. The sympathetic nerves works when the temperature is 42 degrees Celsius. It is 107 Fahrenheit or higher. Westerners prefer a low temperature than the Japanese, so it will be better to lower the temperature by 2 or 3 degrees. 38 degrees or 100 degrees is a recommended temperature to experience relaxation. There are another way to thermal effect work on our body. For example, when the body warms up, it suppresses nerve hypersensitivity and relieves chronic pain in the lower back and knees. Joint flexibility will also increase. I find this effect important for older people. I recommend bathing in a bathtub for those who feel chronic pain in lower back and knees. Other than our body, the thermal effect has a positive effect on our sleep too. When we bath, our body temperature rises but then rapidly falls. The best time to go sleep is when the body temperature drops. Research shows about 90 minutes after bathing is best. Our studies show warming up our body even without bathing before going to bed leads to good night's sleep. Bathing in lukewarm water 90 minutes before going to bed stimulates the parasympathetic nerve, and this also leads to a good sleep. Our bodies are less likely to warm up just by a shower, so this may be the reason why we are not getting enough good sleep. When you have a chance, please try bathing in the temperature of 38 or 40 degrees, 100 or 104 degrees, 90 minutes before going to bed. It really works. Moving on, the next is effect of buoyancy. This effect helps reduce the stress and cannot be obtained with just a shower. Our body floats when you soak up to your shoulder, and the body weight becomes about 1/10. If you weigh 60 kilograms, the weight reduced to 6 kilograms. In the bathtubs, you don't have to support your body's weight, so this helps you much rest. Personally, bathing inside the bathtub feels almost like zero gravity and is closest to the feeling of space on the earth, since our bodies are weightless. The next is the hydrostatic effect. Along with the other two effects, this cannot be effective unless in the bathtubs. The pressure of water still compresses the body even when the bathtub is small. The pressure is strongly applied, especially in extremities, such as the toes. Pressure from water ties the body and helps the body flow return to the heart. Our legs will often swell if you sit a chair for a long time. But if you soak in your legs in a bathtub, the blood flow will improve and will reduce the swelling. The effect cannot be obtained in just taking a shower. Lastly, bathing has a psychological effect of feeling liberated by being alone and naked. This releases tension. It is indeed a place to clean our body, but the Japanese use the bathtub as a special place for relaxing and the end of the tiring day. So what exactly is the difference between the hot springs and home baths? Hot springs have several advantages over home bathing. For example, hot springs contain many minerals like sodium, calcium, magnesium, chlorine. There are about 1,000 milligrams of mineral per 1 kilogram of hot spring water. It's hard to tell whether this number is too much or too little minerals, so let me explain further to give you a better idea. Try to imagine a minimum of 200 grams of bath salt in your bathtub. Typical bathtub fills up about 200 liters of water. This is a considerable amount of mineral, very huge. Mineral attach to our skin to maintain body warmth and enhance moisturization. Many studies find hot springs to have a higher thermal effect than home bathing and stronger effect on improving blood flow and fatigue. Hot springs also have a stronger ability to remove dirt and old skin cells for smoother looking skin. Plus, a large bathroom space or hot springs with beautiful scenery will lead you relaxation. If you add bath salt into your bathtubs at home, I bet you will experience a similar effect of hot springs. This is a Kobe Minato Onsen, a hot springs inn. Japanese love these open-air hot springs called Rotenburo. Beautiful view of the night sky helps with relaxation. Japanese people especially love Rotenburo Onsen. This is Yokosuka Onsen near Tokyo Bay. It takes about 1 hour by train from Tokyo City. You can get the front view of the ocean while being inside the open-air hot spring Rotenburo. You can also feel the fresh breeze while you relax. Now I will explain the step on how the Japanese people bathe at home. First, this device, number 1, controls the water heater by pressing button. It automatically fills up a bathtub with hot water. You can set the temperature, and once it finished filling up a bathtub with hot water, there will be voice that say, "Bathtub is ready," and keep the temperature steady. Almost all Japanese bathrooms are equipped with this device. The Japanese are very particular to baths. What is it like in your country? After bathtub is filled with water, first wash your body with soap in washing area. Number 2. Next, bathtub, not inside. Then use number 3 faucet or number 4 shower is wash your body. You should never put soap in the bathtub. Oftentimes, I hear tourists accidentally put soap in bathtub, so when you come to Japan, please be careful not to do this. Once you finish washing your body, then you can enter inside the bathtub. Number 5. Make sure you have washed off all the soap before entering. Enter so that the water touched up to your shoulder. Then stay in a bathtub for 10 or 15 minutes in the 40 or 42 degrees, 104 or 107 degrees. water temperature. Do not drain the hot water in bathtub after you enter. This is because in Japan, usually the whole family use the same hot water in the bathtub, and since they wash their body before entering the bathtub, the hot water do not get dirty. Most Western-style bathrooms only have a toilet and do not have a washing area. Let me demonstrate how you can experience a Japanese way of bathing at home or floor. First, fill up the bathtub with 38 or 40 degrees, 100 or 104 degrees hot water. Do not put any soap inside the bathtub. It should only be hot water. Without using a soap, soak your whole body in the bathtub up to your shoulder. Soak for about 10 minutes. If you want to relax more, you can close your eye and practice mindfulness. Your body will start to feel hot and may start to sweat, but this means that your blood flow is improving. Then you can wash your body with soap as usual inside the bathtub. The key characteristic of Japanese-style bath is relaxation and not focusing on washing the body. Mindfulness is a bathing method I named. For Japanese people, taking a bath is not only place to wash your body, but also place to relax and relax. Many Japanese come home from work and take a bath before or after dinner. It's also preparation to sleep well. To further relax and calm your mind, I recommended mindfulness, which combines the word mindfulness and ofuro. To practice mindfulness while taking a bath, close your eye and take slow abdominal breaths like you would in Zazen. Inhale through your nose for 3 seconds and exhale for 5 or 6 seconds. Repeat this 10 times and try to keep your mind empty as possible. Doing this method will help relax and cleanse your whole body. Let's try ofuro tonight. It will be very easy. Remember, pour hot water into the bathtub and soak up to your shoulder for 10 minutes. 38 or 40 degrees, 100 or 104 degrees, hot water is recommended. Another thing is to drink 1 or 2 cups of water before bathing because you will sweat. According to one study, 800 milliliters of sweat is released just from bathing. In the bathtub, take time to close your eye and relax. Another thing you can add to your bathing experience is essential oil. You can use an aroma diffuser or even add few drops of essential oil into the wash basin. Bringing your favorite drink and listening to your favorite music will also be plus. But don't use your phone as this can interfere with relaxing nerves. Once you get out of bathtub, quick wipe your body and drink another cup of water. Then go to bed after 90 minutes. You can take shower in the morning as usual. See it, very easy. To wrap up my lecture, I would say that bathing ofuro is a wonderful method, mentally and physically, that Japan is proud of sure. Onsen enhance the health effect of home bathing. Medical research shows there are many health benefits to home bathing, including prevention of stroke and heart attacks, as well as extending life expectancy. As for mental health benefit, bathing reduces anxiety and enhances relaxation. Bathing is a method and culture that can easily be practiced by anyone, and I hope more people all over the world experience bathing. It will keep you strong and healthy. That's it. And thank you for listening.
Okay, guests, please unmute and turn your video on. Welcome back. Dr. Hayasaka, thank you so much for your presentation. I've watched it a couple of times now, and every time I love it. I feel like I'm learning so much every time. The history, the science, the method of bathing. And I have to say, the first time I watched it, I ran to my bathroom and I scrubbed the bathtub so that I could take a bath the same day. So I'm sure everyone watching feels the same way. Okay, so let's get started with the Q&A.
これから質問コーナーに入ります。
I want to say thank you again to everyone who submitted a question with the RSVP. We received over 150 questions. So I hope that some of them were answered in the talk.
150の質問をいただきましたので、ある程度はプレゼン中にも答えてもらいましたと思いますけど、 Genevieve, you're frozen again.
Mariさん、少し進めたらいかがでしょうか。
そうですよね。じゃあ、
はい。
until we get Japan Foundation back, I do have a list of some of the questions both collected beforehand and during the talk. And so I'm going to start with some of them in the hopes that CGP can get on. Just to briefly introduce myself, my name is Mari Morimoto. I know some of you on the YouTube, but I am an event interpreter tonight. So let's see. We will start with a very common question, and there are several variations. Could you both please talk about the regional differences of Sento and Onsen across Japan? Are there any unique ones that stand out to you? Please also let us know how many you've been to. 一番最初の質問なんですけど、何名からもこの質問いただきますけど、2人ともに答えていただきたいです。銭湯と温泉両方に関して地域的な違いとか特徴はありますでしょうか。例えば鉱物とか独特な建築、デザイン、習慣など。また、お二人様は何軒の温泉または銭湯を経験されましたでしょうか。じゃあ、早坂先生からどうぞ。
Yes. I have been to public baths in Tokyo only on the 20 or 30. However, I have done more than 300 public hot springs facility over than Cento, but I have not counted correctly. There is a difference between area. Kanto and Kansai area is a construction of the bathhouse buildings. But Stephanie knows more about this matter. So as for the hot springs, I believe they are almost the same everywhere in Japan. Please, Stephanie.
Yeah, thank you. So I've been to more than 1,000 baths around Japan. And so first for the construction, so I introduced in my presentation some miyazukuri, for example. So you can almost only saw miyazukuri in the Kanto area. But in each area, you have a bit different side of form of constructions. And also, when you go like from Nagoya, approximately, the bath is most of the time at the center of the bathroom. So you can find some oval shape or round shape bathtub just in the middle of the bathroom, and all the shower booths around it, and it's pretty like Kansai style. So in Tokyo we have, but it's pretty rare. So I don't know. In Tokyo now we have more than 500 baths, and maybe 4 or 5 of this kind of round bathroom. And also I talk about the art. So in each area of Japan, you will see the art of the local area. Yeah, so Fujisan is more, you can see Fujisan most of the time from the place you can see it in reality. So Kanto most of the time. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Thank you for sharing about the regional differences. Stephanie, this is a question that we received many variations of. You mentioned this in your talk, but could you elaborate a little bit about who usually goes to Cento? Is it friends, family? Is there a typical age group? And, you know, again, you talk about this, but the popularity of onsen and Cento among the younger generation, and what are the kinds of things that your Cento association or Cento owners are doing to cultivate the next generation? What do you see in the future of Cento?
So I've noticed a big change of the people going to Cento recently. And if I compare to, I don't know, when I was going 10 years before, when I was going 10 years before, I met only barely like quite old people going there like on a daily basis. So those people were going when they were a child, and they continue to go. And especially the elderly people who live alone, for them it's like communication time going to Cento. But recently I see many families and very young people also. When I'm working at the Cento, I've every week like some 10 years old girls, they are coming together, 3 of them, just for chatting after the school. And I think it's so nice. And also I have some people from university that they come in a group, 2 or 3 people, just to talk after the class. And myself also, I'm going with my friends, and sometimes also I need to go alone. So yesterday I went alone just because I needed my time and take it slow. It's just like a cocooning time. So I think now, because it's becoming a part of the lifestyle and self-maintenance, but also detox time, I think many people are going. It's not something about the age, so it's very good news, I think. And for the owner, for example, because Cento is just before you paid for enter in the hot bath, you didn't have some shampoo and soap in the Cento. It was in the Super Cento, but not in the Cento. But now, almost 90% of the Cento of Tokyo are giving some free soap and the shampoo. So it's a good service because that the owners they buy for us. And also you can go without nothing. You can rent towel or so it's a good service also, I think, because you can go anytime, anywhere. And they are doing many events in the Cento, like sometimes when they do the renewal of the mural, we can assist to this sometimes. So I think it's a very good opportunity. And I made also some talk in some Cento, and they're also doing PR now. So before they didn't like, it was not necessary to do the PR because the people have to go every day to maintain the like the hygiene of the body. But now it's not the same, so it's more for lifestyle and comfort. So recently in the Tokyo Metro, I can see some poster of Tokyo Bath House, and they also do many collaboration events with fashion brands and yeah, many stuff. So I think now it's amazing how the Cento world is moving. Yeah.
Right, that's really interesting. And that's what you talked about, is that it is this lifestyle function that is really sort of underutilized or underappreciated. So that's great that people are taking advantage of that now. Next, a question for Dr. Hayasaka, and I think we got this in the chat too. And I had a friend in Japan who told me that after he goes to onsen, he drinks milk. And so I sort of asked him, really? And he looked at me in the eye and he said, every single time. And so I got the idea that this is a somewhat serious tradition, even though he was joking a little bit. So is it good to drink milk after taking a bath? And sort of secondarily to that, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about Onsen Cuisine. In Beppu Onsen in Oita, you can cook food over a hot spring, and Hakone has onsen egg flavored ice cream. So is there anything special about cooking food with onsen? Thank you.
はい、すいません、日本語で答えちゃいますけれども、牛乳、ミルクはですね、タンパク質を含んでいるので、脱水を改善する効果が高いという研究がございます。
So first, I'm going to answer in Japanese, but milk is very rich in protein, so it's very helpful to recover from dehydration much faster than water.
先ほどの講義でもお話ししたように、お風呂に入ると1回800ミリリットル汗が出ますので、かなりの脱水になります。
And I did mention this in my talk as well, but just taking a single bath would result in losing about 800 milliliters of water.
なので、牛乳を飲むことはとても理にかなっていることですし、あとは私たちが飲むのは麦茶を飲んだり、あとは普通にお水を飲むこともあります。
And so therefore it's very restorative. And of course, we don't drink just milk. You can drink anything like, for example, mugicha, which is barley tea, or just plain water would work just as well.
あと温泉に関する料理なんですけれども、多いのはやはり温泉の湯気で蒸す料理です。
And in terms of onsen cuisine, yes, as you already mentioned, one style, the most popular would probably be using the steam rising from the water to steam one's food.
温泉にはミネラル分が含まれてます。特に塩分が含まれていることが多いので、この温泉の湯気で蒸すととても美味しく、少し塩味を感じるような形で蒸し上がります。
So, and as I mentioned, many of these onsen, if not all, contain a lot of minerals, and the saline content is it's very saline water as well. So it cooks very deliciously and perhaps a little salty for some.
大分の別府温泉などでは、例えばエビだとかイカだとか野菜だとかを1分とか2分蒸すことによって食べるという料理がたくさんあります。
And in Oita at Beppu onsen, you often find people cooking or steaming shrimp, squid, even vegetables for only a few minutes, and it's already ready to eat.
はい、以上です。
That's it.
Wow, that's amazing. It cooks so quickly, probably because it's so hot.
早いんですね。
そうです。
Okay, so Stephanie, this was probably our number one question. And I thought that I knew the answer, but could you tell us about Cento tattoo policy? And are there any other common misconceptions about Cento?
Yeah. So Sento are almost all, like 99%, okay with the tattoo. So it's a good news, because I have also the question like every week on my Instagram. So many people just misunderstand the Sento and the Super Sento. So Super Sento are like private company, and most of the time they forbid people with tattoo. But Cento, you will recognize the Cento with the price, because it's a decided price, as I said, and it's cheaper than the Super Cento. And most of them are okay with the tattoo. It's pretty rare that some like are not okay with that. I think I mentioned I went to more than 1,000. I think I met 4 of them, something like that. They were like not very okay with that, but it's usually written at the entrance, or the people will let you know. But as a foreigner, it's not like it's not so they are not so strict than Super Cento. So yeah, so go if you want. And many people also tell, yeah, but I've not a tiny tattoo, I have the like a big one. It's okay. In the place I'm working also, some people, even Japanese people, are big tattoo, and it's okay, it's fine. Yeah.
I think a lot of people will be really happy to hear that answer.
Yeah.
And forgive me for stepping over you, but you said that the reason for this is that Cento is considered a public health service. And so, you know, this is supposed to be available for everyone
Yes.
if they don't have a bath. And so it wouldn't be right to turn people away.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I just wanted to add that, because I thought
Usually
people might.
Cento are not doing discrimination. That's why. No discrimination with tattoo, and yeah, they won't only refuse people with like some disease that can transmit to another person in the bus. Yeah, it's like a reason, and that's all, I think. Yeah,
that makes sense. Thank you. Okay, so Dr. Hayasaka, our next question is for you, and it's quite long. We received many questions about whether ofuro-style bathing can help with particular medical conditions. For example, acne and wrinkles, effect on healthy skin bacteria, headaches and migraines, high blood pressure, heart disease, and endometriosis. And also, we have this question a couple times too. Is there such a thing as too many baths?
はい、すいません、また日本語で答えます。お風呂はまあ、皮膚をきれいにするので、例えばニキビや、そういったものの皮膚の病気にはとてもいいです。
So first, in terms of acne, of course, bathing cleanses one's skin. So it's very good for many skin conditions.
皮膚の表面の細菌を一時的にきれいにしてくれますので、ニキビにはとても効果があります。時々常在細菌ですかね、皮膚の常在細菌を気にされる方がいますけども、1、2時間で元に戻ると言われてますので、あまり心配しなくて大丈夫です。
And of course, part of why it's good for acne is that it washes away all of the pathogenic or disease-causing bacteria on one's skin. I know that like you mentioned in the question, some people may be worried about the commensal or good symbiotic bacteria, but research has shown that those colonies return only an hour or two after one bathes, so you don't need to worry too much about that.
あとシミや、美容系でいうとシミや例えば、シワですよね。それに関しても血液の流れがお風呂で良くなるので、コラーゲンができることによって、防げると言われています。よく日本では毎日お風呂に入っている女優さんは皮膚がきれいだというふうに言われています。
So in terms of sunspots and wrinkles, bathing improves blood flow, so it helps helps with the production of collagen, and that will prevent or remove wrinkles. In fact, one often comments that those who bathe every day have smoother skin.
あとは頭痛なんですけれども、頭痛は、2つ、あるんですが、1つは肩こりとかに来るような、筋緊張性頭痛についてはお風呂はとても効果的です。
So in terms of headaches, there are two, and it would be divided up in two main types. In terms of headaches caused by, for example, very tense shoulders, the bath is very helpful.
お湯の温かさが、筋肉の緊張をほぐしてくれるから頭痛も改善します。
Because the heat of the water relaxes the muscles and therefore removes the sore spots, and then that decreases the headache.
ただ気をつけていただきたいのは、片頭痛、ミグレインですかね、ミグレインヘデーク、片頭痛については、お風呂に入りますと血管が広がるために余計頭痛が悪くなります。
But however, in terms of migraines, because of the increased blood flow due to dilation of the blood vessels, the migraine might get worse.
拍動性、ズキンズキンとするような、頭痛の時にはお風呂に入らないでください。
Therefore, if you're experiencing particularly sharp headache, I would not recommend taking an ofuro.
それから高血圧に関してなんですけども、私たちが以前行った2000人以上の調査によりますと、入浴する前に、上の血圧ですね、収縮血圧が160以上、または拡張器血圧が100以上の時にお風呂に入りますと、さまざまなアクシデントが起こることが分かっています。
And in terms of those who suffer from high blood pressure, I will say that in a previous survey that we conducted of over 2,000 people, we found that those who have a systolic or upper number of 160, or those with the diastolic or lower number of 100 millimeters of mercury, when they steeped in ofuro, various accidents would happen. So again, it would not be recommended.
はい。あとは、心臓病についてですけれども、心臓が悪い方は、半身浴、お腹のあたりまでの、水位で入ってください。
And for those who suffer from heart disease, it is recommended that you only soak up to your abdomen and not all the way up to your shoulders.
あと最後の質問、子宮内膜症ですかね、婦人科の病気についても多分効果があると思いますが、あまりたくさんエビデンスはまだ出ていません。
And finally, for endometriosis or other gynecological conditions, I suspect that there's probably beneficial effect, but unfortunately, there has not been much research or scientific evidence to this date.
あと最後に毎日お風呂に入ることですけども、日本人は毎日お風呂に入ってますので、逆に入らない日があると疲れが取れないと感じることがあります。
And related to your very last part of your question about taking too many baths, as I mentioned, Japanese people take furo every day. So, in fact, some people say that if they go a day without soaking in the furo, that they feel they don't feel less fatigued, like their fatigue actually remains. So I don't think there is such a thing.
That's all. 以上です。
Great. Thank you. So much information. I hope that everyone feels like their question was answered. Okay. So the next question is for both of you that we received a lot of. Many people asked whether you are able to compare Japanese bathing culture with other bath cultures from other countries, such as Korea, China, Turkey, and Russia, or even Rome a long time ago. So please go ahead and let us know.
From Stephanie or from Dr. Hayasaka?
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay. So I can only talk about Korea and Taiwan. I went to visit both countries and I went to Cento there. So in Korea, you can find a lot, and it was very similar to the Japanese one. So you have also the super Cento, like entertainment bathroom, but also the local Cento there. And for Taiwan, there is an area in Taipei. and I don't remember exactly the name, but I went to a very, very old bathhouses, and it was even in Japanese. So I was wondering it's because of the Japanese influence it was there or no, but I went there and it was quite nice, very like community-like bathhouses. And except that, only compared to my own culture, so in France, and I know we have completely different like way to take the bath. First, most of the time we take alone or with husband, wife, but I never took bath with my parents. For example, my mother was putting me on the bathtub and washing my body from the outside. So I don't have any memory of bathing with my parents. I think it's not so common to bath as a family. And also because the price is very expensive in France compared to Japan for the water. So we almost can't take every day. It will be like a luxury to take every day. And we cannot reuse the water like in Japan. You know, you enter clean in the bathtub and you can warm it again, as Ayasaka Sensei explained. So we don't have this system. So yes, in comparison, yeah, I think it's pretty rare to enter every day in the bath. I was loving it also in France and enjoying it several times a week, but definitely in Japan it's like a daily basis going to Sento or the bath in the house. Yeah.
早坂先生は他の国の入浴文化の関して何か述べていただけますか？
じゃあ少しだけ、多分自宅で湯船を持っているところは少ないんじゃないかなと思いまして、今お話にあった、韓国や台湾は外で入ることあるでしょうけども、自宅で日本のように湯船を持っているところは少ないんじゃないかなと思いますので、そこは多分ちょっと違うと思って、おそらく日本だけだと思ってます。
I must say I have limited experience, but my understanding is that while Korea and Taiwan, they go out to a bathhouse, just like Stephanie just explained, I don't think they have the type of bathtub or bathing room architecture structure that they do in Japan. I think in that sense, the structure of a Japanese bathing room and bathtub is quite unique just to Japan.
I understand. Thank you so much for both of your answers. I would like to invite everyone watching, if you know a little bit about bathing culture in other countries, please share in the comments if you have any expertise. All of us here would love to know as well. So the next question is for Dr. Hayasaka. Many people asked about the validity of some health claims that onsen advertise on signs in front of the baths. And you did tell us that many of the minerals found in onsen can help with our skin and heat retention. Could you talk also about the validity of other specialty bathing methods, such as denki furo, which seems to be baths with electricity in them, or the practice of jumping from a really, really hot bath into a frigid, cold bath? Is there any medical research on these?
その電気風呂の特性湯船の効果、特に医学研究に関して話していただけますか？また湯風呂から冷水風呂にはしごする習慣に関しても触れていただけますか？
はい、わかりました。電気風呂についてはほとんど医学的な研究がありません。多くの銭湯で見ることがあるんですけれども、あまりきちんとした研究がないんですね。
So the first part in terms of the denki furo, unfortunately there is almost no scientific research has been done, so no results either. I do see them often at Cento, but unfortunately not much is known from a scientific standpoint.
電気風呂は通常時間が1、2分とかすごく短い時間で入ることになってるんですけども、時々長く入る方がいらっしゃって、それで体調を崩すという報告は医学論文ではあります。
They are meant to be used for only 1 to 2 minutes of soaking. We do have anecdotal reports that people who have soaked in them longer than that have had various adverse or side effects.
はい。なので適度に使うことが大事だと思いますが、電気を体に当てて、それで筋肉の痛みを取るという、ものになると思います。
So therefore, it's very important that you follow the directions that are posted. And what I can say is that through the passage of electric currents, it's supposed to be effective for, again, resetting the muscles and possibly reducing the stiffness in one shoulder or back.
はい、あとは冷たい水風呂に入ることですよね。これ多分英語でコントラストウォーターというふうに呼んでると思うんですけども、コントラストバスかな、コントラストバスはコントラストウォーター、ウォーターバスというふうに呼んでますけれども、温かいお風呂に入った後で、冷たい水に入るということは、血管を広げたり縮めたりすることによって、血液の流れを良くするというふうに言われています。
So in terms of the going from a very hot bath to a cold water bath, I believe in English it's known as contrast bathing, contrast water bathing. I'm not, but the whole concept is that to go from hot to cold is supposed to increase blood flow through dilating and constricting the blood vessels.
温かいお湯に入っている間が血管が広がるということで、冷たい水に入ると血管が収縮します。
And the concept in terms of actual cause and effect is in the warm water your blood vessels dilate, and in cold water your blood vessels will constrict.
このことによって血管がポンプのように伸び縮みするので血流が良くなるということで、これが疲労回復につながるということです。
And so what happens with all this, your blood vessels almost act like a rubber band or a hollow rubber tube where it stretches and shrinks, and thereby it's supposed to help reduce fatigue.
はい、これは特に研究が進んでいるのはスポーツのアスリートで、この入浴法が研究が進んでます。
And in terms of where we see scientific research on this is in particular with athletes.
はい、ただし高齢の方や一般の方にとっては少し負荷が強い入浴法になりまして、特に冷たい水で20度以下の水に入りますと血圧が急に上がります。
And however, I must advise against this in those who are older or may not be 100% well, because it actually causes more stress on the body. In fact, especially if you end up soaking in water that is less than 20 degrees Celsius, it will result in your blood pressure elevating.
ですので、あまり無理をされずに、慣れない人は、冷たい水といってもせいぜい30度 C ぐらいの、水をですね、シャワーで浴びていただくだけで十分です。
And therefore, if you still want to perhaps experience the positive effects of this, what I would say is to use cooler water, but not cold water, perhaps water of about 30 degrees Celsius, and shower using such of a temperature water.
はい、それを冷たい、水と温かいお湯をだいたい3回ぐらい繰り返して終了になりますね、通常は。
And normally the regimen consists of going from hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold 3 times, and then wrap it up at that.
はい、以上です。はい。
That's all.
Wow, so interesting. Thank you for answering this question. So our next question is for Stephanie. You talked about the privileges of being a Cento journalist, and you also work at the front desk. So I imagine that you get to see a lot of behind the scenes of how a Cento is run and operated. And I was wondering if you could tell us maybe a few little things about what we don't normally see as a Cento goer, such as cleaning or things like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, for example, I think it could be a good thing to explain what is the typically day of a Sento owner from the moment he wake up until he will go to sleep. So I saw by myself and interviewed many Sento owners because I wanted to know about their daily life. So I will let you know. So usually they wake up at 11 in the morning, sometimes at noon, and they started to prepare the bath. For example, fill up the bathtub or warm up the water and do the last cleaning. And they will have the breakfast break. And most of all the Cento are opening. I mean, it's an average from 3 p.m. to midnight. So they will open the Cento at 3 and sit there. And some Cento in the countryside only want people in running it. So you have to stay like all the time at the front desk until it's closed. And at the same time, you have to check the gas or the wood if it's wound by wood. So doing many things at the same time. And if it's like family, they will change every 2, 3, 4 hours, at the front desk. And so they do the front until something like midnight. And some of the owner will go to take their bath after the closing. And some will start with the cleaning. So the cleaning take a long time. Most of the owner clean the bathrooms, so both male and female bathroom, after the closing until 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. And after that, they will have dinner time, sort of. And they will have their relaxed time, so watching the TV and have a beer, and they go to sleep at 5 or 6 in the morning. And again, they wake up at 11 and do the same things every day. So I think it's very hard work to do. And all the time I admire them. And most of the people don't see the hidden part of the Cento work. So yes.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. That's such a fascinating life because it's sort of staggered. You know, most people are waking up really early in the morning and their day is just so shifted, but they're working hard all of those hours. So thank you. Our next question, and we're gonna have 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. But this next question is for both of you. Could you talk a little bit about the environment and the ecological significance of Cento and onsen? You know, where's the water coming from, and
早坂先生からお願いしますけど、2人ともに答えていただけますか。銭湯とか温泉の、エコ的な面から話していただけますか。特にその源の温泉湯はどこから来て、使用後はどこへ流れるのか、またその温泉とか銭湯は環境保護にはいいものでしょうか。
じゃあ温泉の部分をちょっとお答えします。はい。温泉のでき方なんですけど、多くは、火山のある、ところの地中深くから、出てきます。でそれでエコ的かどうかというと、これはもう自然のエネルギーですので、非常に、エコロジーにいいということです。で一部の温泉地では、それを温泉のですね、熱を使って、発電をしているところもあります。そういうことではすごく環境にはいいというふうに思いますが、一方で使い終わった温泉水については、すごくミネラル分が多いこともあるので、少し処理をしてから川に流すということをやっているところもあります。で中には温泉の湧出量、温泉のお湯の量が多いときは、そのまま使われずに流れてしまうこともあります。
So in terms of, I can answer the part about the onsen, but most onsen or many onsen draw their water from a volcanic area from deep beneath the earth. And so, I mean, you can't get more natural energy than that. It's not man-made at all. So it is very ecologically friendly. In addition, there are some areas that actually use the heat from the natural onsen to generate electricity. So that's kind of the two birds with one stone from an energy point. In terms of where the used onsen water goes, because of the high mineral content that many of these onsen water have, they tend to, they need to be neutralized. The minerals need to be neutralized or removed before they can be sent into the public water source or a river, say. And otherwise, however, there is a certain amount that it results from overflow that is kind of goes back without having been used or dirtied. Stephanie?
So for Cento, most of the Cento are also using underground water. So it's also eco. Just a little part of them are using tap water, maybe because they can draw, because it's taking a lot of money to draw underground first. And for the eco part, I would say is that if everybody shares the same bathtub, it will be more ecological than 200% doing their own bath at home. So I think it's eco sharing on that part. But I don't know for the water where it's going, like Ayasaka Sensei there for the onsen. So I'm sorry because I cannot reply to this part of the question.
なんか早坂先生追加する分はありますでしょうか？
以上になります。大丈夫です。
So nothing more to add. In the hopes that CGP rejoins us again, I would like to take a minute just to give you some conversions. Earlier, when Dr. Hayasaka mentioned that one will lose about 800 milliliters of water in sweat while bathing, that works out to about 3.5 cups. Also, a lot of times the going from hot bath to cold bath is water. If you go into water that is less than 68 degrees Fahrenheit, that may not be good for those of you who are not used to it. So the recommendation is to try water that is about 86 degrees, given that the hot bath is higher than that. So those are some numbers for you. And it looks like we still don't have CGP. So 最後の質問になりますけど、お二人に答えていただけますでしょうか。ステファニーさんは、掘削してお湯を引き上げるスーパー銭湯も存在しますと言われましたけど、このお湯に関しては地上に湧いている天然温泉の湯と科学的にどうか違いますでしょうか。また、薪火で炊くお湯の方はどういう面で違う、またはいい悪いでしょうか。早坂先生から答えていただけますか。
はい。まず一つスーパー銭湯なんですけども、これは銭湯ではあるけども、新しいものですね、1980年代にできたということで、一部のスーパー銭湯は大体町の中にありますので、温泉をすごく深く1000メートル以上ですね、井戸を掘って使っています。
So the question is, you know, in Stephanie's talk, she mentioned that many Cento source their water from true hot springs, and some super Cento are developed by drilling. Do they scientifically differ from true hot springs? And can you also tell us whether Cento heated by wood fires are better or worse than natural, those who draw their water from natural hot springs? So super Cento are fairly recent phenomenon. They were built or started mainly in the 1980s, and many of them are located in big cities. So therefore, a lot of them must drill quite deep, over 1,000 meters into the ground in order to pull up their hot water.
スーパー銭湯であっても温泉は日本の法律で定められた形で分析してますので、それに従って温泉ということでミネラル分を含んで温泉ということであれば温泉ということで変わらないということになります。効果は十分にあるというふうに考えますね。
So because the term onsen, especially in a bathing establishment, is regulated and defined legally by law, the onsen water must contain minerals. So in that sense, those that result from drilling deep underground are no different, and I believe have the same exact effect as if they drew similar water from a source that is already present at ground level.
日本は火山国なので、ほとんどすべてのですね、場所で温泉が掘ることができます。
And because Japan, the entire country of Japan lies in a volcanic zone, it is very easy to drill anywhere and reach some sort of geothermal or volcanic source water.
はい、以上です。
That's it. Stephanie?
Yes, and I would like to add, so same for onsen, Cento, super Cento. So sometimes you can find, not sometimes, if the Cento is declared, if they did like a research on the water, you will have a paper with all the percentage of all minerals. So it will be all in Japanese, so not easy to understand. But if you find like a paper with many percentage, and it will be like the onsen certification. So in addition, and the second part of the question for the worm, the maki, how do you say in English?
The wood fire.
Yeah, so it's not scientific, but according to the Cento owner, thanks to the wood, to warm the bath with the wood, it would the water would be softer for the skin. So, for example, it happens sometimes I enter a hot bath and I feel it's very hot, because sometimes when it's warmed by wood, it could be like 43 or 44 degrees, but it's not an aggressive, you don't feel it aggressive, hot. It's very smooth, I think. So, but it's not scientific. It's just a sensation, I think. And also the second part of the second reason of the owner using the wood for warm the water is economical, because gas will take some money, and for the wood is recycling. So as you know, in Japan, almost all the buildings are built with wood structure. So small building and houses, and when they destroy it, the wood is reused to warm the water of the Cento.
早坂先生、何か追加されることはありますでしょうか？
はい、確かに科学的な根拠はないのかも分かりませんけども、おっしゃる通りで、薪で沸かしたお湯っていうのは温かいっていうか、肌に優しいっていう話は聞きますよね。もしかしたら昔々のお風呂ではですね、直接火を、バスタブの下から炊くいわゆる五右衛門風呂というものがあったんですが、それだと実際に湯船そのものも熱くなるので、もしかしたらそういう頃のなんていうか、記憶というかですね、そういうものもあるのかもしれませんね。
So unfortunately, there is no scientific evidence for this. It's definitely anecdotal only, but certainly it does seem that the water heated by wood fire is hotter and yet at the same time gentler on the skin. Now also there is something called the goemon buro, which was essentially a bathtub or tub-like structure that was directly heated. The water was directly heated with lighting a fire underneath it. So perhaps there is some historical evolution or significance to furo water being heated by using wood fire.
Wow, this is all so interesting. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer so many questions. Unfortunately, we are over time and we don't have time for more questions, but we really have appreciated reading all of them. It's been a great joy for us. So if you have any lingering questions, please add them to the questionnaire. You can find the questionnaire in the link the link to the questionnaire in the YouTube description. And for questions, we will be trying to reply back to you individually if we can. And with the questionnaire, we'd like to kindly ask you to fill out the questionnaire. As anyone who's attended a Japan Foundation CGP event knows, we love our questionnaires. They're very important for us and they allow us to continue making programming like this. So, so please take the brief 2 minutes to let us know what you think. It's very valuable for us. One note that I would like to make is that this event is intended to educate about Sento and onsen culture. And because of the ongoing global pandemic, we do not encourage traveling to try public bathhouses at the moment. So to close, I would like to sincerely thank our guest speakers, Dr. Hayasaka and Stephanie, and our interpreter, Dr. Mari Morimoto. It has been such a pleasure to work with all of you, and I hope that we can kampai when it is safe. And I appreciate your hard work.
皆さんずっと続きたいと思うんですけど、残念ながら時間の終わりに来ましたので、本当お二人様、本当にお疲れ様でありがとうございます。
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then one last thing is to thank you to all my teammates at Japan Foundation CGP for patiently practicing with me as I learned to navigate Zoom and YouTube. And thank you everyone for tuning in and your patience. And you know, this couldn't have happened without each and every one of you. So thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing your comments in the questionnaire. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.